What is up, guys? Today we are looking at some good habits you should get into that are going to help you improve as a player and hopefully help you win more. These tips are used a lot in Diamond Plus games, but are things that I've noticed most people don't do at lower ranks. This is another video brought to you by the guys over at Pro Guides. You can check them out down below. Comment with your best habit to be featured in future. Like this if you did, dislike it if you didn't, but let's jump straight in. The first thing is, before any game has even started, in Champion Select you want to get into the habit of looking at your team's comp and the enemy teams. I know this sounds a little bit obvious, but you can win and lose a game in Champion Select if you do some stupid stuff. So here are a few tips to go into a game ahead. We are not talking about the champion picks by themselves either, like how strong they are right now or anything like that. It's more how they work together and work against the enemy team. The first thing is to make sure we haven't picked ourselves into a really bad situation. This applies a lot as an AD carry, so we'll use that as an example. If they're playing a bunch of assassins, then you probably do not want to play Jinx or Ashe, who have no mobility or way of protecting themselves, and in that case an Ezreal or Lucian would be a better way to stay safer. So the thing you want to do, the thing I do all the time, and the good habit here, is to ask yourself, if I pick this champion right now, am I making my life really difficult? The second thing in Champion Select is the composition side of things. Now, you cannot force your team to play things, but you can work around them and what they've already picked. Ideally, you want to have at least one tank in your team to absorb some damage in a team fight, and then enough damage to kill people. The damage side is very important. Get in the habit of making sure you have a good mix of AD and magic damage. Now, this is important, especially as you climb the ladder. You want to force the enemy team to choose to either build armor and take more damage from magic damage, or build magic resist and take more from AD damage. As an example, I play Corki a lot, and one game we had a Vlad top, Lux mid, and all the enemy team did was stack magic resist. Because a lot of Corki's damage is also magic damage, we ended up losing because we couldn't kill them. It's not always as obvious as it seems, but having a balance is very important. So that is the two things. Get in the habit of thinking more about your pick and what you're picking into, and get in the habit of trying to build a team of mixed damage. The second good habit to get into is pressing tab often throughout the game. As nerdy as I'm about to sound, and rip me in the comments, knowledge is power, and we want to use everything we can to get an advantage. Specifically, we want to get in the habit of checking what items the enemy team has built or is building. Even though you guys might think I'm being dumb here, how many times have you died or someone on your team has died and thought to yourself, wow, they did a lot more damage than I expected them to do? Well, the biggest cause of that is because you aren't keeping track of what items they have. So you aren't expecting what they can do. The other side of this is also adapting your build. Now, item recipes have components, right? And those components can only be built into a certain number of things. So yeah, you do have like a health crystal that doesn't really say much, but a BF sword can only be built into one of 4 things. So it gives us a good idea of what they're going for next. There are a few ways that we can use this. So like as an AD carry, if the enemy Jarvan, for example, is building more damage, then we might need some defense so we don't die. On the other hand, if he's building armor, then we're going to need some armor penetration so that we can actually kill him. The important thing here is that we can anticipate what he's going to build, and we can start building the answer to it before he's even completed it. If he has 3 armor items and we're like, okay, I actually can't kill him, I need Last Whisper, then it's already too late. We should be pressing tab and watching him build armor components and say, okay, he's gonna have too much armor, I need a Last Whisper, and get it ready. This is the habit right here. Press tab more, look at their items, and get in the habit of building to answer the enemy items before they finish them and it's too late. So third thing, start to write down or time ultimates and summoner spells. Actually timing it is a lot of effort. Honestly, something we should all do, but even I don't really bother unless I think it's more important than normal. What I will do all the time though is type in chat if someone uses a summoner spell or ultimate. Now this isn't so much for me to time it later on, even though I have that option. It's so that everyone else on my team has that extra information that they are down their flash or down their ignite or down their ultimate. That information is so important whether you realize it or not. I actually play mid lane a lot, and if my mid roams to another lane, ults them and then comes back, if I know he doesn't have his ult, I can go so much more aggressive and end up getting kills. Now sure, my top laner doesn't get an assist for the kill, but without him telling me his ult or flash or whatever it was used is now down, I wouldn't have got that kill. The point is not just that you can do more with that information, but the entire team can do more, and you have no idea what potential effect you telling your team will have. Especially with roaming or junglers, it's really important because the people it will affect won't likely be looking at that lane to see what happens. Just think, like, if we're against a Corki mid, right, and he uses his heal fighting us, then it's not the most useful thing ever to type out, because the other lanes probably don't need to know that. They might do, but we're laning against him and we already know. But what happens if he roams bot and he heals while fighting our AD carry? We might not be looking bot lane, and if the AD doesn't tell us, we will assume he has it even though he doesn't. So without his heal, he's going to be so much easier to kill, and we can go much more aggressive. So knowing it's down is really important and could open up more opportunities. Saying when flashes are down will help your jungler do more and others roam to your lane more. Ultimates will let people play differently. It's a really big deal and such a good habit to get into. If you do actually want to go one step further and start to time these, by the way, I recommend you turn on timestamps in your settings. This is going to let you scroll back up, see when you said their flash was down, work out 5 minutes later, and then work out when it's back up, so you don't have to do it in the heat of the moment. Also remember that summoner spell cooldowns can be lowered by things, but if you hover over the summoner icon next to the champion while pressing tab, it will tell you their exact cooldown, taking into account masteries and everything else. The last thing is getting into the habit of pinging every single time someone appears on the map or is missing. Assume everyone on your team has a map awareness of a fish. Now honestly, fish might have really good spatial awareness, I have no idea. But the point is, most people don't look, but will look when somebody pings. This is a better safe than sorry mentality, honestly. Maybe they did see them, but there's no harm in making sure. In general, the way I think of it is in two ways. So first, anytime somebody shows on the minimap who isn't where they belong, I ping a few times. This is normally for the jungler, but sometimes like a mid laner starting to roam or a support warding, anyone who isn't in their lane and is moving around. The second one is when your lane opponent isn't where they're supposed to be for more than a few seconds. And yeah, I mean just a few seconds. If they aren't in lane pushing and are out of vision, they're either moving around the map, they're up to something, or have based, and whichever of the three it is, your team should know so they don't get boned. Remember, by doing this as well, focusing on it and pinging, you will actually improve your own map awareness a ton as well. So you're improving yourself as a player while helping your team and standing a better chance of winning the game. So there you go, some good habits you should really get into, and I hope you guys found this video useful. Thank you again to Pro Guides for putting this together for me. You can check their YouTube out or their website out. Remember to like, subscribe, comment, share, but for now, let's go to the robots.